I'm Lisa, 68, sitting on my balcony, sipping a glass of wine, watching the ducks glide across the pond. I'm brought back to that fateful day 6 months ago when my life took a dramatic turn. It was a sunny morning, and I was enjoying my coffee on the balcony, observing an elderly man feeding the ducks, when my phone lit up with Tom's name. Tom is my eldest son. I let it ring 3 times before answering, keeping my voice neutral, as if it were just an ordinary day. But his frantic voice on the other end shattered the calm. "Mom? Where are you? What's going on?" "We just pulled up to the house, and there's another family moving in. They said they bought it from you." I took a slow sip of coffee and calmly replied, "Yes, I sold the house, the lake cottage, and your father's lot." The line fell silent, followed by the sounds of raised voices in the background. I could hear my daughter, Lily's high-pitched tone, and my youngest son, Ben's deeper one. Tom's strained voice returned, "Mom, what do you mean you sold the house? Where are you going to live? Where are we going to stay when we visit? Where's all our stuff?" I told him I'd moved to a condominium near the park and that I'd put their belongings in a storage unit, paying for 3 months. After that, it would be their responsibility. The accusations and protests that followed were expected. They couldn't understand why I'd made such a drastic decision. But they had no idea how long I'd been planning this, how deeply their actions had hurt me. Let me take you back to Christmas Eve. I'd spent days preparing for the family dinner. The aroma of cinnamon and apple pie filled my kitchen as I carefully placed the last hand-painted name cards around the dining table. The table was set for 12, for my 3 children, their spouses, my 4 grandchildren, and me. It had been this way every Christmas since my husband, Jack, passed away 22 years ago. At 2:30 p.m. I glanced at the clock. They'd be arriving at 4. Just enough time for me to shower and change into the purple dress I'd bought specially for the occasion. But then my phone buzzed. It was Tom. I answered with anticipation, thinking he might be asking about bringing extra wine. But his words hit me like a ton of bricks. "Mom, we're not coming for Christmas dinner. We're on a cruise. All of us, me and my wife, Lily, and her husband, Ben, and his girlfriend, and the kids." Lily found an amazing deal for a 15-day Caribbean cruise. We couldn't pass it up. I was in shock. "But it's Christmas Eve. I've been cooking since yesterday morning," I stammered. He said it was last minute and that there wasn't enough room for me because of my motion sickness. And then I discovered that they'd used $13,000 from my savings account without my permission to pay for the cruise. That night, I sat alone at the table, surrounded by the uneaten feast. I made a promise to myself that this would be the last Christmas I'd be taken for granted. After Jack's death, I'd worked 2 jobs for 18 years to raise my children. I'd sacrificed my own dreams, gone without new clothes and proper winter boots so that they could have what they wanted. I'd paid for Tom's college education by taking on extra shifts at work. I'd sewn Lily's prom dress by hand when we couldn't afford the one she wanted. And I'd bailed Ben out of trouble more than once, even though it meant going into debt. I found a brochure for a retirement home with notes in Tom's handwriting about convincing me it was time to move in. They were planning to take my home, my independence, and my dignity. So I decided to take action. I contacted my husband's old friend, George, a real estate attorney. I told him everything, and he confirmed that the house, the lake cottage, and the vacant lot were all in my name alone. I told him I wanted to sell them all before my family returned from the cruise. He was initially hesitant, but after I explained my reasons, he agreed to help me. With George's help, I quickly sold all the properties. The lake cottage was sold to a young couple eager for a weekend retreat just 3 days after listing. The vacant lot was purchased by a developer. And the main house, where I'd raised my children for 42 years, was sold to a family with 3 young children. I found my new home, a 2-bedroom condominium on the 2nd floor of the Park View complex. It needed some updating, but it was mine, a fresh start. Over the past 6 months, I've built a new life. I've made friends in the community room, attended water aerobics, and volunteered at the library. My relationship with my children remains strained. They've made some attempts at reconciliation, but none of them have truly apologized for what they did. However, my grandchildren are a different story. My granddaughter, Mia, was the first to reach out, sending me a hand-drawn card saying she missed me. I invited them over and I've been spending time with them, teaching them to bake and helping with their homework. Tonight, as I sit here on my balcony, I feel at peace. I've reclaimed my life, my dignity, and my voice. The house is gone, but I'm stronger, wiser, and free. I'm curious about you who are listening to my story. What would you do if you were in my place? Have you ever been through something similar?
Comment Bilo?